it's time for the Chris Allen Podcast, the Ask the Angry Ninja Show. So here we go.
Hey there, my name is Megan Foote, owner of North Star Boudoir Photography, serving Louisville and surrounding counties. We offer a premier boudoir experience at a price point you deserve. Our sessions include a 45-minute pampering, which entails hair and makeup services, as well as food and drinks, and access to a full client closet. And of course, 45 minutes of posing and shooting for fabulous photos that will leave you feeling empowered. Our packages range from $220 to $300. To schedule with us, you can check out our Facebook or Instagram accounts at North Star Boudoir, as well as call or text 502-689-0015. We'd love to have you and help you see the beautiful that you are. Also, if you book with us, please make sure you mention Chris Allen Podcast for a discount.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. We're doing part 2. We got another guest on to get a different view of body counts. Everybody say hi to Megan. Okay, everybody say hi. Now you say hi, Megan.
Hey, everybody.
Hey. All right. So, before we get really deep into this, there's been one question that I asked the last person. They didn't answer it. And I wanted to get your perspective on it because I had somebody argue this with me as what counts towards your sexual body count.
I would say actual intercourse.
See, and this is where I kind of disagree. So you're saying blowjobs wouldn't count?
No.
No?
No.
What about anal? Because they argued anal didn't count either.
That counts.
That counts?
That's a whole new level for me, so that counts.
That counts? Well, my thought process on this was anytime you touch another person with the intent of giving them an orgasm, it should count.
I could see that perspective. But
because that drops my body count down like 20 if I take off blowjobs. Because $20 is $20 is $20.
Fair enough. I mean, I guess you could count it. So like full disclosure here, right? I'm bisexual,
right?
And I guess like there wouldn't be any other way in female relationships. So I guess you could count it. Okay. I guess I count it with females. So
if it counts with females, it counts the other way. And I'm not bisexual, but I mean, if a guy was doing that, like that counts. I mean, come on.
Yeah, fair enough.
So now for the invasive question. How high would it be for you for it to be too high? Like if a guy came up to you and was like, I've been with this number of people.
So I don't have a too high. Mostly because I have been married to a man for 14 years who had quite a high body count before we got married. So I don't judge people based on that because I personally believe that sex is a need, just like air and water and food and not being alone. Like I feel like it's just we're mammals and it's sometimes just a carnal need. So I don't judge people off of that.
And that's probably actually the best way to look at it. I don't have a too high number either. I do have a too low number. Do you have a too low number?
That's an interesting question. I wouldn't have. I'm going to say no. And the reason I'm going to say no is I've had experiences with men who have had a very low number and they have a lot to learn. But at the same time, it's really fun teaching somebody. Like it is really fun introducing somebody that you care about to things that they haven't been introduced to before. So for me, I would say no.
Really?
Unless it was 0. I think that would freak me out.
0. See, that was my too low number was 0. Like,
yeah, okay, 0 would freak me out.
Yeah. I've been with 0 twice, and both times, it went from everything's okay to we have to get married now. And I'm like, whoa, no.
Well, see, men and women are different in that regard too. But at my age, if you have a 0, yeah, that would freak me out.
Right. Well, we won't discuss ages. That's not. I'm 41. We don't to talk about age no more. I had to start cutting hair off because there was grays, and that's not okay.
Feel it.
Like, so I didn't want to do just for men. So whatever. So you're saying there isn't too high of a number as long as they've been safe.
Safe, absolutely. And as long as, I mean, no offense to parents or single parents or anything like that, but it's everybody's preference. I would not want to be with somebody who had several children from that behavior.
Oh yeah. There's a really because I'm single now. Yay me single. Yay. It's single at 41 sucks. By the way, like the level of trying to date and like, oh, you have how many kids? Oh, never mind. Which I know sounds horrible, but like I'm 41. My kid's halfway out the door. I love my kid to death. I
Right.
don't want them to leave. I don't want to start over with four under seven.
I don't want to start it over, and mine are only five, so I get it.
Like I'm like, whew. Like I've already got the door picked. I'm gonna push him out of when he's 18. I've already planned it all. Like I could date somebody with one or two kids, but it seems like everybody in my age groups just got a lot of kids around here. Maybe it's just this area. I don't know. Instead of Shelbyville, we should call it Breederville. Sorry, that was a horrible joke. Um,
That's okay.
so you're saying there's no too high.
No.
What do you think the average is for a male who is a average male, not like Brad Pitt level, but like a normal male?
Now, I would say probably between 25 and 30.
That is actually really close. Um,
Yeah.
for the same, for a female, what would you think it is?
20 to 25.
That is where you are wrong.
Mm.
Males is actually 14.8, which I don't know where they get the point .8. Uh, but yeah, and then for females, it was like 50 for an average female. And I was just like, that's, I was trying to figure out why. And it
Well,
dawned on
so
me.
you said you counted oral.
Well, yeah.
I would say that that would be part of it. Because I can remember growing up, the pressure to do that as a teenage girl. I didn't. I was very, well, for lack of a better term, prude until I was an adult. But I remember my friends thinking that as long as they didn't go further than that, everything was fine. But they would do that to keep boyfriends or get boyfriends. I don't know. I could be way off, but I saw a lot of that happen.
That was in my high school. We hadn't graduated to that yet, but there was a whole lot of hand jobs going on the bus. That was the big thing in the school I went to. Well, I actually I thought it had to do more with the fact with that. So you take a girl who is like a 6, right, and you take a guy who's like in a 6. Okay, that girl walks into a bar. Okay, she could probably leave with any guy in there.
Most women, no matter what you think they look like, could leave with almost any guy in there.
Right. And a guy who's a 6 walks into a bar, and that's not going to happen. He actually has to.
I mean, I could see that point, but you know me a little bit, and you know that I don't really believe in physical judging of people's bodies or anything like that. But I get that society has this standard, so I could see that being the case. Especially when people are younger.
Yeah.
I think when you get a little older, you mature into more financial stability, personality, things
At,
like that.
but at that point, you're actually trying to build a relationship rather than just go out and.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, I think all the targets here, all the averages, they're basing it on between 20 and 35.
That makes sense.
And I was just like, yeah, for a guy to walk into a bar and have every girl want to leave with him, he'd like have to be Brad Pitt. Like would have to, and then an average girl, which I'm not knocking average. Average the girls are super attractive. I mean, can just get away with murder, and I'm just like, that's not fair. That's not fair. It's not. I want because I'm like a 4.
Well, you guys can't have babies, so we'll call it even.
I actually count that as a win. Yeah, we can't have babies.
Right. You
Yeah,
don't have periods. I count it as even.
when you throw that one in, you win. Actually, I think
Hmm.
we owe y'all money. I
We
don't.
suffer enough, So, the
And,
hotness always has to be there.
yeah, and y'all have to put up with like stupid men making stupid decisions. Because the reason I wanted to do this specifically, Joe, with the females, because every time I talk to a dude, they always say the same thing. Oh man, she's more than five. She's a hoe. I'm like,
Yeah, absolutely. There is definitely a double standard,
and I'm like,
100%.
I know you slept with like five last year, let alone the 10 years before that, and what you've done this year. Where how is she? Oh, well, it's different. No, it's not. Like,
Nothing bothers me more than that double standard because somewhere along the line we have made it acceptable that, oh, men need this and they need it. So do women.
yeah,
We are wired the exact same way, whether you believe in God or you believe in Buddha or you don't believe in anything or science or biology. Well, however, whoever made us, our creator, decided that this was how we were going to reproduce. It's no different for us than it is for men. And that idea that we're supposed to put ourselves in a bubble and save ourselves as if we're objects to be obtained drives me insane.
yeah. And let's just be realistic here. Sex is fun, right?
I mean, if you're doing it right.
Yeah, if you're not doing it right, well, oof. And that's one of the reasons I actually prefer a higher number. Um, I mean, I don't ask, I don't care. I realize at 40 something years old, any girl I date, unless it's a miraculous thing, is I'm not discovering new territory. Like somebody's been there before me, and that's okay. So I'm good with like a higher number because there's the experience factor. This person knows what they're doing. They're not. They're gonna. We're gonna be able to like, hey, what awesome thing have you tried that you want to do again? There's gonna be.
Well, and I think it's they know what they want and what their expectations are at that point because there's things that you try and you go, oh dear, never again, like never again. That was not for me. That was weird, whatever. And at that point, they know how to set their boundaries and what's acceptable for them, and then nobody's wasting their time.
Yeah, you can skip right to the. Oh, this is what I like. Do this, and everybody has fun the first time, rather than I don't really know. Let's just go at it, and then you're like, okay, this is the first time, two or three times sucks because you're trying to figure everything out. I'd rather have somebody with the number 100 or above that has figured everything out, has done all the fun stuff, and knows what they want to do. That's me. I guess I'm different than most men.
Well, everybody, I mean, everybody's different. And I would venture to guess that 60% of people are not honest with themselves or the people around them when it comes to sex because we have been trained in this country and in our society that it's a bad thing, that it's dirty, that it's shameful, that it's private, that it's all these things that like we shouldn't be doing. And it's in fact it's just the opposite. If you travel to other countries in the world, it's a very open secondary topic. It's not taboo and it's not wrong and it's not dirty. And I think in America, we just have this issue with getting past that to even be able to have open conversations. And then that leads into the idea of slut shaming or caring how many people somebody's been with. Or, I mean, as long as you come to me and you're not, you're safe and you're not going to give me anything or do me any harm, like, I don't really care what you've done in your past. Like, but I think for people to be able to open up to that idea, we have to first get past this idea that sex is dirty because it's not. It's literally how we were created to keep the population going.
Yeah, sex is only dirty if you're having a whole lot of fun.
I plead the fifth.
Oh, oh, I've heard stories about military girls.
Hey now, don't attack the military girls.
I'm not attacking. I'm just saying, excitement is abound. I've heard stories. Actually, I've heard stories about all kinds of different things. So nothing's, no numbers taboo. You're even good with the low number. That way you could teach them. That way they do exactly what you want.
Well, not just what I want, but teach them to figure out what they want.
You are an amazing person. Why can't more people? I know you say society, but we've been progressing as a society. What do you think is the big thing that's holding people back? Do you think is I blame the Southern Baptist and the Catholic Church for holding
I think religion has a big part in it for sure. I know a lot of people personally who were raised Catholic and like it's very they can't even talk about sex, right? It's
It's just not something you do. I think that's part of it, but I really do think, especially for women, a lot of it is still the slut shaming and the rep you get. We can't win really, and you can break it down. You can even break it down away from sex and take it down to something as simple as how we dress. If a woman, God forbid, dresses in something that makes her feel good or makes her feel comfortable, she must be showing off for men, or she must be a slut, or she must be insecure, and nobody knows the first thing about that woman. And I think all of that just gradually gets bigger and bleeds into sex, or even sexual preference, right? Like, one of the things I run into is, yeah, I've been married to a man for 14 years and he's the love of my life and we're very happy. But when people say, oh, well, you're not bi anymore because you're married to a guy, I think it's like
No.
the watering down of who people are and how they express themselves too. And you say we're progressing, and sure, in some ways we are. I actually think we're backtracking in others. As a country, but we see that, right? We
Mm.
we go through these ups and downs all the time where we feel like things are progressing and then they're not. But I really think it starts in upbringing too, right? Like, my mom did a great job at raising us that nudity is just your body. It's not, you shouldn't be ashamed of it. You shouldn't um, worry about it. And I remember growing up and telling people, like, oh, yeah, like, my mom will just get out of the shower and walk around and get dressed, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's crazy." And I'm like, "Why?"
Right.
Like, I don't understand why that's crazy. Like, I don't, but we were actually, like, made fun of for having a household that was very open to talking about sex. I could ask my mom any question I ever wanted to. I still can. Um, Believe it or not, at my age, I still have questions.
I mean, it
But
happens.
we were able to have those open and honest conversations. So we never, and I honestly think that's why I was so old when I, not old, but older than most of my peers when I did have sex for the first time. And when I did, because it wasn't some big secret to me. It wasn't something I felt I had to do to be liked. It was, I had so many open, honest conversations about it that I just figured I'll do it when I feel like doing it. So I think it starts in the home too, and sure, religion probably plays a part, and society plays a part. But I think if your parents can't have an open, honest conversation with you, and you're not knowledgeable enough to break that cycle, we kind of just keep repeating it.
That that makes a lot of sense. You did say one thing that absolutely broke my brain for a second, though.
What's that?
How does being married make you not bi anymore?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
People people insert their own thoughts and opinions on that, and excuse me, the reality of it is like, if I got divorced tomorrow, I'm back on full market, right? Like,
yeah,
it's not, it doesn't change the fact that if I wasn't, being in a monogamous relationship doesn't change your sexual needs. It doesn't
no.
change your sexual preference. It doesn't change. But we as a society have tried to water people down when it comes to, when it has to do with anything sexually related. And
Yeah,
I think that's part of the problem.
and that's like, because, like, you've made a choice to be with one person. It
Mhm.
does not change any of your previous preferences at all. Like, you chose to be. It's just like, I'm not bisexual. I'm straight. But if I choose to be with one girl, that doesn't mean I don't like other girls. It means I chose to be with just this one.
Correct.
That's this the same thing. It's that is absolutely that one hurt my brain for a second.
It happens quite frequently. And it is, like I said, I think it's just anytime you talk about something dealing with sex that makes people uncomfortable, they find a way to water it down. It's just not. I use this reference. This is going to sound crazy, and maybe I am crazy, but I don't know. It's like this idea that girls can't talk about poop, right? We don't do that. In
Girls
your
don't
minds,
poop.
we don't do that, right? We don't do that. It doesn't happen. But it's so funny because I have a friend who he will not tell me he pooped. Like, he doesn't poop. According to him, he doesn't do it. I have no problem talking about it. But when somebody else is uncomfortable with a topic like that, they tend to change the topic or water it down or create their own version. And I don't think it's any different with sex.
Yeah, everybody poops. That's just normal. Sex is normal. Oh, yeah. I, I had a friend, and well, it wasn't a friend. It was a person I know, and they're in an open marriage.
Hmm.
And I was like, how does that work? And they explained it to me. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And that's what works for them. So I don't judge them. They go out and they do what they do. They go to little clubs and have a good old time.
I
And
personally don't think anybody's relationships are anybody else's business. Like, you're right. You shouldn't judge. If it's working for you and you're not harming me or my family or anybody around you intentionally, it
have
is none
fun.
of my business. Like,
Well,
right.
yeah, well, they were. I didn't ask. They were telling. You know me a little bit. I kind of talk a lot, and people talk back, and I just try to absorb it and put it into different things. But I was just like, because when when they said that to me, my first thought was, well, that's not how marriage is supposed to be because of society. It
We've been told that a marriage is one man and one woman, and I get in these conversations a lot because my husband and I are very non-jealous, controlling people.
yeah,
We are very much like, most of his friends are females. I would guess because he grew up with 5 sisters.
right.
Most of my friends are males because I grew up with nothing but males around me all the time.
Hmm.
And we are it blows people away. I can't believe your husband lets you go out with guys. And I'm like, first of all, he doesn't let me do anything. Second of all, it works for us. I
Yeah,
don't know why anybody cares, but at the end of the day, we decided that we were going to be two independent people that decided to commit to each other and do life together. We don't want anybody else in that commitment, but we're not going to control how the other person lives and who they're friends with and what they do. And there has to be trust there. And whether your marriage is super codependent, that's fine. If it works for you, that's your business. Or whether it's open or whether it's somewhere in between like we are, um, it doesn't matter as long as it's working in your, and not just a marriage, but in your relationship. It
yeah.
really shouldn't be anybody else's business.
The only time I ever had a problem with any person I was ever with hanging out with another person was when the person they were hanging out with very clearly made it apparent that they were actively trying to sleep with them.
Yeah, that's a different story.
Like, she's like, we're just friends. I'm like, I know in your head you're just friends, and that you're okay with just being a friend, and I'm okay with you being their friend. But I don't want y'all to go hanging out alone because this person has clearly stated the first chance they get, they want to sleep with you.
Well, and
So
again, that's how you felt, and you expressed that, and however you all move forward or didn't or whatever,
yeah,
again, is totally your choice and in those two people's control. And I think that's the other problem we have is everybody has something to say about what you're doing in your home and in your relationship.
yeah, and like,
And at the end of the day, theirs is probably just as screwed up. It's just in another way.
yeah. I was just like when the dude said right in front of me, "No, I'm gonna try to sleep with her." I'm like, that's my wife. No, like what is wrong with you? And but they still hung out, and I didn't get mad. It just made me nervous because that's just messed up right there. But that's
Well,
a
you're always
different.
going to find messed up people. Like, there's nothing.
I yeah, and I always feel like I got bad karma from the things I did in the past coming to me. I wasn't always the best person. All right.
We are not always the best people.
No, no, no.
None of us.
But you know what? The key is always try to give you a person, and like you said, don't judge other people for what they've done, and yeah, like just be a good person, and let people do what they want to do. And if everybody did that, nobody would care about a beer can anymore.
Well, that's facts. Don't even get me started on that. But I just think we just spend so much time outward reflecting instead of inner reflecting. And I think if everybody took time and just figured out who they want to be and worked on being those people, it really wouldn't matter what anybody else is doing. And
I
that's all encompassing, not just for sex, but
yeah,
everything.
I could not agree more. I actually had to have the transgender talk with my son last night. That
Kids
was
don't care.
well, he was very confused. He's 11. Like, I wasn't prepared, but he had seen something on the news about the beer can and why was it a big deal. And I was like, I don't know if you know the beer can, the Bud Light thing.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, so this is how this conversation. I knew the conversation was going to happen eventually. Like, he's a fifth grader, so there's not really anything going on in his school with it. I knew it was going to happen eventually. I didn't think a beer can was what was going to set it off.
Yeah, it's a different world raising kids right now.
So yeah, we had that
They're
like,
learning things much younger.
And I was like, okay. So I had a very vanilla version of the conversation, and explained to him, and I expressed that if I ever heard him making fun of anybody and not respecting their pronouns, that me and him were gonna have a problem, because that's not okay. Everybody gets to be what they
Well,
want to
that's the whole
be.
point. I mean, and that's the whole point. It doesn't matter how you feel about it at the end of the day. And you're entitled if you think it's wrong or you think it's weird to feel that way. You're also entitled to think it's not weird and it's normal and that's great. But however you feel is irrelevant. It really doesn't matter because it's not you and it's not hurting you and it's not hurting anybody else for that person to make that choice. So that's one of those times where I just want to look at people when they say like, "Well, how do you feel?" How I feel is irrelevant. It's fucking irrelevant. Like how I feel about another person's life is absolutely irrelevant as long as they are not doing any harm.
Right. The only thing about that situation that I've had a problem with, and this is very personal to me, is I make mistakes. And I had a friend who transitioned, and I knew him for 10 years as dude name, dude, deep voice guy, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
he disappeared, like moved, fell off the face of the earth, didn't see him, right? And then came back as female, which, whatever, did not care, right? But when you've known somebody for so long as one thing, and then they change, right? I slipped and said their old name. And
I
it
think that's natural. I mean,
lost their crap. Like, went off on me. Like, don't you respect me? Blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm not. And then I messed up, said, man, I've known you. And then that was it. It was an accident. I didn't do it on
mhm.
purpose. I feel like, because I didn't do it intentionally. If you're intentionally disrespecting somebody,
Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. We're going to make mistakes.
but
You're
like,
going to accidentally hurt people and you don't even know you do it sometimes.
yeah, well, they let me know, and like I had kind of like to separate myself, because like I'm like, look, it was an accident. I'm sorry, and they would not take. I'm sorry. You
Well, and
know.
see, I don't think that's fair either, and I'm just being blunt about that. Like I'm saying it works every way. Like every possible direction you can think of when it comes to the human experience, you have got to try your best. I talk a big game. I have my days where I am just as guilty and just as wrong and just as out of place as everybody else. But when you encounter another person, they're human and they are going through their own version of this crazy, messed up experience that we are given. And I say this all the time. I'm sure you've seen me post it. Being human is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And when you encounter another person, you have to try your best to encounter them with grace. Nothing else but grace. You don't have to try to even like them or be their friend or even understand the whys or the hows, but you have to be able to show grace. And you making a mistake and apologizing and owning that mistake, you should have been received with grace for that.
Yeah.
And that is my issue in a nutshell with the entire, and we've kind of gotten off track, but the entire human experience is that people don't take the time to try to change. Like I said, I judge people. I'm not going to sit here on some high horse and act like I do everything perfect all the time.
No, there's a
But
website I visit just to people. It's called People at Walmart. Oh my god.
yeah, I've heard of it. But I have tried to make an effort when I'm having a good day and in sound mind and trying to improve upon myself to encounter everybody the same way and with a little bit of grace. Now, you have people that hurt you and do you wrong and do you dirty. I'm not saying be a doormat. I'm not saying forgive them, but holding on to resentment or hating them or trying to hurt another person is just hurting you. So I just say grace all the time. If you can learn to just tell yourself, I don't know what they're going through. They did me wrong, but that's a them problem. It will save everybody a lot of time.
Yes, and I cannot think a better note to end this show on. That was absolutely amazing. You are an amazing guest. We need to have you on the show more often on different
Anytime.
topics. Uh, and everybody, this is Megan, North Star Bajor. I can never say that word. There
Boudoir.
you go. And also regular photography. And she does, I've seen the pictures she puts up on her websites, guys. If you guys need a picture of any kind, this is the person to come see. She is absolutely amazing. Her eye can see things that you wouldn't even think. She is incredible. So check out her website, the North Star. word I can't say.
Boudoir.
And then your regular photography is under
Foots Photography.
Foots Photography. I'm horrible with names. I can never remember them. You want to give them your phone number so they can call you?
Sure, yeah. It's 502-689-0015. And
All
we're
right.
on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes, they are. All right, guys. Everybody have a wonderful day. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show wherever you're listening to this show. If you're listening to the Chris Allen Show, awesome. If you're listening to the Jason E. Jones Show, even better. We look forward to bringing you more contact. If you want to help us out with that, you can hit us up at www.patreon.com/worstjokes and help fund the show. If you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us at cman234 at Twitter, at Twitter at cman234 at Twitter. You can find on Facebook the Chris Allen Podcast. You can find Jason on Facebook, the Jason E. Jones Podcast. You can also find him on Twitter too. Just search for the Jason E. Jones Podcast, and you'll find him. We're all there. We're all here for you. If you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to an email at asktheangryninja@gmail.com. You want to be on the show? Reach out, hit us up. We'll get you on the show. Interview. You want to come tell a joke? Tell a joke. We're all here. If you have an outrageous story, I'd love to hear it. We'll put that up too. So just let us know. And if you have anything you want to hear, let us know. Twitter is the best way just to let you know. So everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day. Talk to you later. Bye.